welcome to Crafty Purple Dragon channel. I've seen various small scarves, I think they're referred to as mini scarves, and I looked for a pattern, and I believe the original version was knitted, and then various people have come out with crocheted versions, but I couldn't really find a pattern that I liked. I think there was a pattern that I saw that I'll just put this in frame. There was a pattern that I saw that did a mini scarf but then put a border on it. I couldn't be bothered with a border, so I've done my own basically. So I thought I would show you. This looks like there's quite a lot, but it is a mini scarf, I swear. So this is just half double crochet, and you start off at one end with the point, and then you increase along one edge. Show you, increases along one edge, and then you basically increase until you get to the width you want. I went to about 13 or 14 centimeters, and then you just crochet along until you get to half the length you want. So I went to 70, a total of 70 centimeters, and then I put a marker in and made a note that that was my halfway mark, and then I continued crocheting until I got back to the length, like the end of my width, and then I started decreasing again down to the end, and that's it. In total this is 140 centimeters long. Well, it was when I made it. I have used this every day, all day, every day, because it is winter at the moment, just as something to keep my neck warm, just to keep the chill off my neck without having a big bulk of something around my neck, you know, like a massive scarf maybe that you like to wear when you go outside. So this has been worn every day for about 2 weeks. It's just been through the washer today, and it's come out really well. The yarn is King Cole something or other. I'll put the information on the screen. So yeah, so this was a King Cole DK acrylic yarn. I used a 4mm hook. I used 80 grams. So I liked it so much I wanted to make another one, and because it is winter I thought I would make myself a Christmassy one. So let's find that. So the other one, my original one, is DK acrylic. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a DK acrylic. This is, I've actually got the ball band for this, so I'll show you. This is Universe Christmas yarn, premium acrylic from Hobby, which I didn't actually realise. I got about halfway through before I realised that this was acrylic. I was thinking it was cotton. It feels really nice. So this is colour number 23, and it uses a 3 to 3.5mm hook. I used, let me just check, I think it was a 3.5. Let me look it up. Oh, I don't think I made a note of it in this colour. I think it was a 3.5mm. Anyway, what that basically means is it's a lighter weight yarn, so I had to use a smaller hook than I did with my DK. I used a 4. So this colourway, this Hobby colourway, Hobby Universe, this is not a full ball. Okay, so with this one I didn't have a full cake. I'd used this previously to make my granddaughter some scrunchies, so I had 67 grams of yarn to use this. So this is a shorter scarf because I didn't have as much yarn, and this colourway for me started off in this lovely pink colour, and then it transitioned as I increased the scarf through a sort of dark brownish red to a red to a green, and as you can see, hopefully this has got a strand of green glitter running through it. So we get to green, and then we transition to the dark burgundy again, and then back to green, and then red and brownish, and back through to the pink, and then green and red and green and brown. But I basically did the same thing, and with this one, because I didn't have as much yarn, I stopped when I'd used half of what I had. So this is actually, how long is it? It's still about 140 centimeters long, and width-wise, I've lost my metal ruler. Width-wise, so this is 13 centimeters, and it looks really good. I'll insert some pictures. So what I wanted to do was, oh, this hasn't been blocked or steamed or anything, so it is a little bit stiff. Let's put it around my neck, see if it's scratchy. Don't think it is. Feels fine. I'll leave it on while I'm filming, and then I'll let you know at the end if it does feel scratchy, but to be fair, I don't think it does. So I just thought I'd show you what I'd done, and go through how I made the scarf, and then if you want to make it in this way, you can. Let's go. So this is what you're going to need to make this scarf. The yarn of your choice, the amount of your choice is very much adaptable in terms of what yarn you use and what yarn, how much it takes. I recommend, if you're using leftovers or not quite full skeins of yarn, weigh your yarn before you start, and then you know how much you've got. Make a note of it, and you know that when you get to halfway through your yarn, you're halfway through your scarf. So yarn a needle to sew in your ends. There'll only be two ends, one at the start, one at the end. Scissors and crochet hook, as is appropriate to the yarn you're using. I'm going to try using this Fire 10mm hook with this yarn, which for me is Ice Yarn's Atlas Jumbo. It's a super bulky 100% acrylic. It's a 200-gram ball, 80 meters. Now I do want a scarf that's about the same length as the others that I've already done, so I may have to use more than one. It depends. I've not done it in this weight. I do have 2 balls of this, and if you're interested, when I bought it, this was the code, and the colour is gold, 61359. I don't know if that's still the number. Okay, then let's get cracking. So to start, we need a slip knot on our hook. So however you make a slip knot, do that, and then we chain 3. Oop, I don't usually use large weight stuff. 2, 3. So chain 3, and then we're going to do a half double crochet into the first chain. So we yarn over and then into the first chain. It's a half double crochet. Now you can go into the front or into the back bump, doesn't really matter. I'll do it in the front because it's a bit easier. And it's a half double crochet, so we're going all the way through all 3 loops on the hook. that is the end of round 1. And we've started off with our point. Row 2, I'm just going to turn, I'm not going to chain, and what I'm going to do throughout the whole of this scarf is do a starting half double crochet, which for me in this project is stacked single crochet times 2. So we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to go into this first leg of this single crochet that we've just done and do another single crochet on top. So that's our first half double, and then we're going to do another half double into the last stitch, which is the chain from earlier on. So into the chain, oh, this yarn's a bit of pain. That is the end of row 2, and we do the same for row 3. So I'll come back to you when I've got to the end of row 3. So here we are, that's the end of row 3. So we've got row 1, row 2, row 3. Now we will now start increasing. So we'll do that next. So for row 4 we turn. We start with a stacked single crochet. We're starting half double. I crochet tight. It's hard to get in sometimes. Okay, so stack single crochet. Now this is a increase row, so what I'm going to do is we increase every other row. So I'm going to mark where my increase is, so I know when I get back to this side, when we get further up, this is my increase side. So when I turn around at this end and go back, I need to be increasing in my next stitch, which is what we're going to do now. Increase into the next stitch, which is the last stitch on the row. So that's 1 and 2. So we've now increased by 1. We've got 1, 2, 3, and our next row is just going to be 3 half doubles back to the other end, or a starting half double. That was a bit looser. Two half doubles. Oh, sorry. Hanging you. Sorting out my yarn. Right. So that's our last half double, which has brought us back to our increase edge. And that's all you do, is you repeat that pattern until it's as wide as you want it to be. So we'll just do another repeat. So we turn, we do our starting half double crochet. You tell I don't usually use this type of yarn, it's thick. So that's one. So I need to do 2 into the next one, 2 half doubles into the next stitch. It's very splitty, this yarn. And then 1 half double into the top of the single crochet from the row below. And this way also makes it easier than trying to get into a chain at the end of a row, which I hate having to do if you do a 3 chain starting method. Sorry, I've knocked you again. I need to reposition that, obviously. Okay, so I'll just turn and do the next row. So this is a return row, so we're just doing 1 stitch in every stitch. That's 1. Two. 3. Sorry, I'm wandering all over the place on screen, I'm sorry. 4. And we're back at the increase side. So just repeat those 2 rows until you get to the width that you want your scarf. So our next row is an increase row. So the first stitch is a stacked single crochet. Then we do 2 half doubles into the next stitch, and then 1 half double into each stitch across, and then we turn and we come back, and on our return row we do 1 stacked single crochet in the first stitch, and then 1 half double in each stitch across, back to the increase side, and you repeat that until you get it to the width that you want it to be, and I'll meet you back there. Just something I wanted to point out when I've got to the end. When you're having to do a half double on top of the single crochet from the row below, it can sometimes look like it's on the edge. So it's just to take note that the single crochet may be slanted on the side of the piece, but that is where you go into for the last half double of that row. I just wanted to show you what I do to keep track of my rows. So I write down the stitch number, the amount of stitches in the row, and then when I'm finished and I move on to the next one, I cross that off and I write down the number of the row that I'm on, and I know that for 2 rows I'm going to need 5 stitches on each row, just to help keep track of the stitch count. You could put a stitch marker in the start, in the first stitch and the last stitch, but I prefer to just keep a note of the number of stitches in the 2 rows that I'm currently working on. Okay, so I'm back. I've got to my increase edge on my return excuse me, on my return of the repeat of the increase, and this is now about 14 centimeters wide, and I'm at 10 stitches per row. 9 stitches per row was actually, let's have a look, like 12. That's it. It was 12. So I wanted to go higher than 12. So 10 stitches for me in this yarn results in the width that I want. That's the width of the others that I've done. The DK I got to 23 stitches, was 13 centimeters, and the Hobby Universe was 35 stitches for 13 centimeters. So now what we need to do is continue the length of the scarf, and just interestingly, let's have a look. Yeah, the length of the point has always been 35 centimeters, and that is actually 35 centimeters for the length of the point before you start to just go backwards and forwards to do the body of the scarf. So to proceed from here, what you want to do is, and I will put a stitch marker in here to show me that that's the end of my increase, that's the top of the point, and then I will go to half the length that I want my scarf to be. So for me, I want it to be about 140 centimeters long, so I will crochet 10 stitches of half double crochet until this whole piece gets to 70 centimeters long, or I'll see at that point how I am with the yarn. I've got 200 grams in this ball. The others were 100 grams for the DK and 67 for the Universe. I'll weigh my yarn at that point and decide whether or not I want to shorten it and only use one of these balls, or whether or not I want to carry on and take some from the other ball. So we'll see what that's like. So just 10 stitches across for me until I reach the middle, and I'll meet you again. Okay, so I've got to what I'm going to call halfway through. It measures, let me just double check, 70 something. Let's have a look. 72. See if I can do this. Sure, yeah. It measures 72 because when I got to 2 rows back, because obviously the repeat is 2 rows, when I got to 2 rows back, it was 64. I didn't want to stop at 64, so I went slightly over and I went to 72. What it is, 72. Is that right? Hold on. Can't get it in shot because it's too long, but measure it out a shot. Yeah, 72. So what I also want to do is just, I'm nowhere near halfway through the ball, I don't think, but I just want to weigh it and see. So set kitchen scales. Come on, wake up, wake up. Thank you. Right, I'm going to weigh the piece that I've part way through. Can you see that? You see what it's reading? Right, I'm going to put the piece on, see how much it's weighing so far. 120 grams, so it's going to be 240 grams. That's going to take some out of the second ball. So what I think I'll do is I'll see how long it is when I get to the point that I would have to start decreasing and decide whether or not I want to make it shorter and not use any of the second ball, leave a full second ball. I don't know, I'll have to see. So now what I'm going to do is put a stitch marker in here. This is the middle, so this will get a stitch marker. Sorry, I keep hitting the flipping stand. I'll put it in after I've started doing the return row. So now I'm just going to carry on doing my normal width until I get back to this length. So I could count how many. I've not been counting rows, I've just been doing it until it got to the measurement that I wanted. So now what I'll do is I'll put a stitch marker in there, keep crocheting, keep folding it in half and checking, and when I fold it in half and I get to there, then I'll start doing my decreases. So I'm going to go until this is the same length as this, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've got to the point where I've only got this much yarn left before I got to where I would need to start decreasing. So what I've done is I've folded my scarf in half, and then we come down to where I've marked the end of the decrease at this beginning point. I'm going to say that's about halfway, so I need to start decreasing now, and I've got this much yarn left, so I am going to go into another ball of yarn, because I think with this yarn, because it's such a chunky piece, it takes up more space around the neck. If I was to pull back and do my decrease so that I only use this, it would be too short. It wouldn't go around twice. I want it to go around twice. You could make one that only goes around once, but I don't want that. It's a chunky scarf. I want it to be able to bulk up around my neck to keep my neck warm. So I want it to go around twice. So I'm going to use a second ball of yarn. Also, I think because it is chunky yarn and it takes up space around the neck, I think I'm actually going to make it longer. So I think I'm going to increase the length by I don't know, maybe that. But I'm going to keep trying it on my neck and see where it ends up, and we'll go from there. So I'll come back once I get to where I am actually going to decrease. Hi, so I've got mine to the length that I want it to be as it fits around my neck, and this is where the decrease started. So this is the halfway mark. This is where the decrease started, and this is where I've stopped. So I'm only a couple of rows actually from being the same length as the whole half that I'd intended. But because I've only done it in lighter weight yarn, I wasn't sure. So now we need to start on the decrease part. So we're just basically going to do reverse of what we've done for the increase part. Get my yarn sorted. Right. So usual start single crochet start, and then we do over the next 2 stitches, because we're on our decrease side, just make sure for sure. Yep, we're on our decrease side. So quite long. We're going to do a half double decrease So we take 2 stitches and make them 1. So this is where my handy note come in now. I'm going back down, so we're on 9. And then it's 1 half double in each stitch across. Sorry, my battery just died. Okay. So when you get to the end of the row, as before, you just have to turn your work over a little bit. To get into that stitch, because it's on the side. So we now should have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we go back across the row with 9. So I'll do that and meet you back. Okay, so I've got back to the decrease side. I've put a marker in here to show this is where I've started to decrease. So now we're going to go down to 8 stitches for the next row. So make a note of that there, turn my work. And then we're going to do a decrease because we're on the decrease side. I'm sorry about the jumping up and down. So do the starting half double. If you want to do a chain or a whatever standing half double, you can. I do a stacked single crochet. And then we're going to decrease across the next 2 stitches. So we go in and in to the next one, and then through all the loops on the hook, and that's a decrease. And then it's a half double all the way across, and at the end we'll have 8 stitches, decreased by 1. Turn the work a bit to get under that last stitch. Okay, we'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's what we want. So now I'm going to turn my work and do 8 stitches across to the other side, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so I'm at the end of the return row. So our next row is going to be a decrease row. Then we'll do a return row with the same number of stitches as the previous decrease row, and then we'll do another decrease row, and then another return row, and that's the way you just carry on going down until you end up with your decreased tail. So we'll just do another decrease row, and then I'll leave you to finish the return and then carry on doing decrease row, return row, decrease row, return row, until you get down to the bottom of your scarf. So let's just turn and do a decrease. So I do a stacked single crochet in the first stitch, and then a decrease. So I need to update my notepad. So this row will have 7 stitches. So that's 2 stitches, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then turn it slightly at the end and go under there. 7, just in case I've miscounted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm going to go back 7 stitches to get back to this edge, which is the decrease edge. I'm then going to decrease so that I'll have 6 stitches, and then I'll return back with 6 stitches. Then I'll do a decrease and I'll have 5 stitches, and then I'll return back with 5 stitches all the way down until I've got the point, and I'll meet you back at the end. Alright, okay, so I've done the return pass at 3. My next decrease will take me down to 2. So I'll do that. I'll start as usual. Whoops. For some reason I decided not to finish that. Finish the single crochet at the top. And then we're going to do 2 half double decrease. So we have to switch over at the end. And then all the way through all 3 loops. 2 stitches, so we've got to do 2 stitches on the way back. Just manoeuvring all the other end under the table. Okay, so we'll do 2 on the way back. So we do a starting half double, stack single crochet for the beginning, and then we do the half double in the last stitch. So that's our return pass. So we're still at 2, and now we want to finish off the bottom. So if we turn and do, I think the easiest way to do this is single crochet 2 together, chain 1, and then fasten off. So that ends up as the point. It's kind of similar. Okay, so I've cut. Now I had to change colour part way through, so I've got a couple of ends to weave in, and I'm going to measure how long it is and let you know that. But I just wanted to say, well, one other pattern that I saw, she did a border all the way around. I don't think it needs a border all the way around. Neither of the other 2 are bordered. I don't think it's necessary. I think the edges, because I've used the stacked single crochet at the beginning of a row, I think it does a good job of having a nice neat edge. So I don't think it needs a border. If you want to border it, you can, but I don't believe it needs it. So I will measure it and let you know. Just to show you, I ended up doing that much more, that much extra, because this was my original middle. So I've increased, let me just get my tape measure again. I increased the length of mine by, where's me marker? So I did an extra 26 centimeters on mine. So this should be 140, 160 66 centimeters long. Let's have a look. I've got it folded in half because my area isn't long enough to measure it in total, so I'll just measure it and let you know. So this is 180 centimeters long altogether. Well, it's 90 centimeters long in half. So that's it. That's the scarf. I will weave in my ends, and then I will show you a picture of it on Mary, along with pictures of the other two that I did on Mary, just so that you can see the difference of them. This one is obviously hot off the hook, so it's not been worn or washed or steamed or anything like that, so that's likely to get longer because it is acrylic, it will stretch. This has not been worn or steamed or washed, so it's still quite a bit stiff really, because obviously I used a smaller hook because it's a thinner weight of yarn. And then the other one, this one has been worn extensively and washed. And what's the length of it now? Because this is also acrylic. It's stretched by about that much from the original length, so that is to there. It has stretched by about 20 centimeters. So acrylic will stretch, so if you want to factor that in and build your mini scarf to take account of stretch, so make it shorter to start with if you're using acrylic. Obviously if you're using a more or less elastic yarn like cotton, you might want to add a little length on, because potential shrinkage maybe. Anyway, yeah, it's your project, it's your scarf, so you do as you see fit. But I love this actually. It's a quick make, especially in a yarn this big. This took me well, I couldn't say for definite, but maybe like 3 hours. I didn't time doing the Hobie one, but I did time the initial acrylic one I did in my app that I use, which is Yarnly. My original scarf took me 7 hours, but I was developing the pattern at the same time, so it's really not a lengthy project, and it results in a nice warm scarf. So there we have the 3 versions of the scarf that I've made. My original one, which was in DK weight 3-weight yarn, the Hobie yarn that's a 1 or a 2, I'm not sure. So 4mm hook, 3.5mm hook, and then this is a 6-weight, a super bulky, and this is a 10mm hook. And it doesn't matter what length you do, it doesn't matter what width you want, you do the same thing. You build up your increases until it's the width you want it to be. You then do the length of the scarf that you want at that width, and then when you get to halfway, decide whether you want it that length or not. Make it longer, make it shorter, go the same distance again until you get to the decrease it, and you're left with a nice cute scarf. I think it's cute anyway. So I've got 3 now. I do not make multiples of things as a standard. I don't make patterns. I'm not a pattern person. You can tell from the video. I don't do video tutorials. but I enjoyed this pattern so much. I knew I wanted to make myself a few different ones. I will probably end up making more, so I thought I might as well share the process with you. So if you have been with me until the end, thank you very much. Let me know if you're going to make one of these scarves, or if you've got any ideas for me to make for other things. Sure, why not? I've done one now, I can do more. Probably not, no I can't. So yeah, if you've got any comments, leave them in the comment section below, and thank you very much for watching. Bye. Okay, so this is the final scarf that I've made during this video, and I just want to weigh how much yarn it's actually taken. So because these were 200-gram balls, and I've gone, I'd say probably halfway into the second one, so let's have a look. $290. So yeah, about halfway into the next one. So there you go, 290 grams taken for that one. The Hobie one I used less than, just a little bit less than 67 grams, and the DK one I used 80 grams.